This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, and adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required by law. Certain portions of the meeting may be closed to the public for the purpose of personnel or other matters as outlined in the sunshine law. Decisions made or discussed in closed session may go to the public at a later date. All contracts awarded by mayor and council must comply with the affirmative action requirements of NJAC 17:27. Fire exits are located in the directions I have indicated. In the event of fire, please move in a calm, orderly manner to the nearest smoke-free exit. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yesaba?
Here.
Councilman Wilkinson is on his way. Councilman Casais?
Here.
Councilwoman Story is present by telephone. Councilwoman? Councilwoman? Charlene? I'm here. Thank you. Councilman Kelly?
Here.
Councilman El Rossi?
Here.
Mayor Carty?
Here.
6 members present right now, Mayor?
At this time, I'd ask everybody to please stand. Madam Clerk, prayer and pledge of allegiance.
Eternal God, grant us thy help in all our duties and all our complexities. We ask for thy guidance. Give us thy protection in all our dangers and all our sorrows. Grant us thy peace. Amen.
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to welcome everybody this evening. It's another great night for Roselle Park where we get to recognize the youth of our community who have really made us so proud and continue to put the name of Roselle Park on the map. We thank you all for coming out this evening, and we hope that you understand how much we appreciate all your efforts to make our community such a great place. Madam Clerk, do you have any communications?
No, Mayor, we have none tonight.
I'll put off my report and recommendations of mayor, and I'd like to start with some of the certificates that we have this evening. First, I'd like to ask Ms. Pam Reynoso to step forward, please. As part of our Summerfest events, one of the events that is being run by our poet laureate, Leona Suford, one of the events that we held in the community was a Roselle Park Club's art event. Ms. Pam Reynoso was involved in organizing it, reaching out to people, and she got some assistance from some of the youth in our community. When it came time to design the logo for the event, we had 3 young people who had some beautiful designs that we wanted to recognize this evening. At this point, I would like to ask Neil Bobsar to step forward with your family, if you'd like. I'd like to invite Grace Vivas to step forward with your family, please. And I would also like to invite Sophia Ortiz to step up, please. Roselle Park does love art, and one of the places where the seeds of that love are planted are with our children. This event and another event that we're going to be talking about in a few minutes are proof positive that the arts are alive and well in Roselle Park, and we thank all of you as parents for encouraging the love of art in your children. And before I give the certificates, I'd like to see if Pam would like to say a few words.
The only thing I'd like to say is that we have baby steps toward a community event that the kids were very enthusiastic in. Their designs are beautiful. We're hoping we'll be able to do it next year, and if so, their logos will be used on it. I have a couple of things to give them besides the certificates that were graciously donated by businesses in Roselle Park. Congratulations to the kids. Wonderful.
And one of our recipients has a prepared speech, so we're going to...
Good evening, everyone. My name is Neil Bhausa. Thank you for recognizing me. I love art. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Talk about stealing the show. That was great. In addition to the hand that you just gave the children for their participation in the event, I hope you all recognize Pam Reynosa for her hard work making it. Next up, we had an exhibit at the Casano Community Center. Lenore Bantiago set up a display, please come up, a display at the Casano Community Center where she invited children to use their minds as well as their art skills to express themselves. And every child that participated had a presentation of a work of art of a fairy tale that's their favorite with a twist. And we'll explain that a little bit as we go through the awards. So,
I just want to thank the parents who bring the kids every Saturday morning to my art class. The kids are very creative. So there's one more day in the Casano Center for you to see the exhibit. It's really creative. It's like Cinderella and her lived in a shoe full of children, that fairy tale or children's rhyme. So it's very creative. You have to see the show. One more day left.
thank you. Don't forget that's the Casano Community Center. If you want to see the kids' artwork, it really is phenomenal. I encourage everybody to go. And maybe now you'll get a sense of the twist that we're talking about with the fairy tales. If I can get Sophia Ortiz to come up, who painted Little Blue Riding Hood. Sophia, please come up. I'd ask the participants to please come up with their parents when they come up. Vanna Mendoza, who painted Alice in Waterland. Is Vanna here? Jacob Ortiz, who painted Humpty Dumpty Eggnack. Again, if the parents would like to come up also, please, we'd love to have you up here. Eric Brockenstein, who painted the Three Little Chickens. Tristan Palma, who painted Sleeping Handsome. Mason Harbs, who painted Humpty Dumpty Becomes Frankenstein. Angelina George, who painted The Princess and the Giant Peach. Edward Kennedy, who painted The Legend of Jack and the Beanstalk to Sleepy Hollow. Grace Vida, who painted the old woman who lived in Cinderella's shoe. Cassandra Cordero painted Goldilocks and the Three Little Pigs.
He went first. We were at the county to get a appropriation trust fund. He went first, I went second on purpose.
Julian George, who painted Mary had a giant dinosaur. And also I wanted to again thank Lenore Bontiago, who is a phenomenal artist in her own right, who led the paintings by the children. So I want to thank you all. If anybody wants to get a group picture, I'll just move the microphone a little bit. We say over and over again that our community is really blessed. We have a great group of children who are academically involved, that are artistically involved, but then there's a group of super athletes in our community as well. We've recognized football teams, we've recognized soccer teams, we've recognized wrestling teams, basketball teams, boys and girls across the spectrum. The one group that we see year in, year out, successfully showing the athleticism in Roselle Park is the Roselle Park Pop Warner Cheerleaders. I'd like to invite first the coaches up for the Pop Warner Cheerleaders. As with anything else, it's not just the children, it's the parents who take them where they're going and the coaches that make this all possible. So we thank the parents, the children, and the coaches for all the hard work. Would you like to say a few words before we call everybody up?
We'd like to thank, obviously you said the parents, and yes, I have many of my parents here today, that none of this would be able to happen for them and happen for us if it wasn't for your support. I know the last 13 years has been an adventure and a ride, and it cultivated and it ended with such a great way by winning a national championship. These girls, 32 of them took that mat December 13th? No, 12th. December 12th of 2013 against 8 other teams. It was nationally televised on ESPN for the first time. And they took the national champion that day. And they were truly champions. They worked extremely hard. A lot of these girls, there were 18 of them on this team that graduated out of the program. And if you understand Pop Warner, typically football ends in 8th grade and they move on to the high school. Our high school program for cheer is sideline cheer. They didn't have a competitive. So these girls would cheer for these 8th graders being 15, 16 years old, freshmen, sophomore, and juniors in high school, because they loved their team. And there were 32 of them who went out there, gave it everything they had, and they successfully did their job, which was to win a national title and put Roselle Park on the map. It's the first time ever that that cheerleaders have ever won a national title in Roselle Park. So we're extremely proud of them.
I'd like to ask my our council president, Carl Hokinson, to hand out the certificates, as we call it, of the young ladies who performed so admirably. We'll start with Tahara Abdel. Antoinette Antonucci. Beth Ocello. Talia Event. Sarah Barbosa. Lisa Bakaj. Kayla Bokaj. Rosa Bonilla. Stephanie Cantrell. Bianca Chabla. Leo Coelho. Aaliyah Curry. Ellen Erickson. Sabine Espinosa. Caitlin Gibson. Miranda Hummel. Victoria Jimenez. Sasha Knapp. Lily Manzo. Jessica Mirabella. Alexis Monaco. Haley Ortiz. You want a good run there for this. Shayna Pierre. Gabby Reyes. Dominique Robinson. Erica Rodriguez. Holly Ryan. Jenny Salgado. Maria Sierra. Christina Stamatis. Kristen Brable. Caitlin Walsh. At this time, I want to thank all the girls. We'll pose for a picture up here. And then if any parents want to come up to have their picture taken up here also, we'll do that. So that may take a few minutes. But I'll move the mic out of the way for group. We'll go ahead and take a couple of group pictures and then individual pictures. And now we all know what it feels like to have paparazzi chasing us. On a couple of occasions, I've had dignitaries from other communities visit Roselle Park. Today, we're honored to have Mayor Colleen Marr visit us. And Mayor Marr, please have you come on up. Mayor Marr and I have been friends since I was a council person. I thank her for all the things that she's done as an employee of the county and as a fellow mayor.
Thank you very much, Mayor Nackley, and to the council. Good evening, and thank you for allowing me here tonight to take a few minutes from your agenda to bestow a county resolution on your council named Carl Hokinson, which is why I am here tonight. He does not know about it, so it is a bit of a surprise. Tonight, the Union County freeholders are having their meeting, and they were not able to come tonight. So I said I would be more than honored to actually present this to him on their behalf. So Carl, if you will come up here. With the look on his face, you can tell he really doesn't know why I'm here. Yeah, we weren't just together because the county had also this evening give out the grants for the Union County Kids Recreational Trust Fund, of which Roselle Park received a nice check and my community received a nice check, but I was sworn to secrecy. So I am here tonight because you may know or you may not know that Carl is a Marine. And he actually has just been recognized with a very high and distinguished honor, which the county and your peers did not want to go unnoticed. So I will read this as he was the 2014 Marine of the Year. It's an exceptional honor. It's a very big And I tell you, we have no idea that this is happening tonight. Whereas the Board of Chosen Freeholders in the County of Union wish to congratulate you, Carl Hokinson of Roselle Park, on being awarded the 2014 Marine of the Year Award by the Central Jersey Detachment of the Marine Corps Leathernecks. And whereas Carl is a lifelong resident of Roselle Park, graduating from Roselle Park High School in 1969. He enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in 1969 during the Vietnam War and served as a corporal and tank commander in charge of 3 tanks and 14 Marines. In 1973, Carl joined the Roselle Park First Aid Squad and served as their second lieutenant. He also joined the United States National Guard in 1973, where he achieved the rank of sergeant and tank commander. And whereas Carl was appointed to the Roselle Park Police Department in 1976, retiring as a lieutenant in 2005. He joined the Roselle Park Recreation Department in 1976 and since has been appointed the chairman of the Recreation Commission. And whereas just recently on November 8th, 2014, Carl will be honored as the 2014 Marine of the Year at the annual Marine Corps Ball. According to the selection committee, the Central Jersey Leathernecks have awarded Carl because of his hard work and dedication and love of his community. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Union do personally congratulate Carl upon being awarded this very distinguished Marine of the Year Award. And a copy of this resolution will actually be read this evening into tonight's agenda. So Carl, on behalf of really all of us in this room, we want to say congratulations and living a very well-served life and dedication to your country and your community. Congratulations.
But wait, folks, there's more.
Speech.
Before he gives his speech, he's got to gather himself and compose himself. The Borough of Roselle Park also wants to recognize Council President Hokinson on being named the Marine of the Year. I do have a proclamation that reads, everything that the county said. It says, whereas the mayor and the council, along with the citizens of the Borough of Roselle Park, wish to join the family and friends of Mr. Carl Hokinson in recognizing his dedication and outstanding accomplishments. Now therefore be it resolved that a copy of this proclamation signed by the mayor be presented to Carl Hokinson in honor of this occasion, adopted October 16, 2014. Congratulations.
This is not like me. I'm so humble, I'm so honored by my colleagues, my friends down the county, the people, family. I was proud. I was proud at that time to do my duty. I served with a bunch of great guys. I still serve with a bunch of great guys here, county, you, my Parkers. Wow. There's a saying, I take a bullet for it. And that's what we did. Back then, Vietnam was going on, so you had your choice. So I decided to go in, and I joined, I think, the greatest organization Excuse me, Army. I got two Army guys. I'm outflanked. But no, I'm honestly, truly, I'm just, I can't believe you did this. I can't, we were just together. I mean, we spent so much time together this last week. Oh, I'm telling you, you're good. But again, honestly, truly, this is for me, this is for the country, this is for us, this is what it's all about, and
Thank all the children that came out tonight, their parents, their coaches, their instructors. We thank Mayor Marr for coming to assist in the presentation of the Leatherneck of the Year Award to Councilman Hoganson, and all of those of you that came out to support the endeavors of our residents. Is there anybody here from the Lechon Minigone? At this time, I would like to go around the horn and get input from all of the members of council. I'll begin since the month of October with our 4th Ward Councilman, Councilman Gino Barrasso.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to congratulate our Council President, Carl Wilkinson. Congratulations, he's winning the Meeting of the Year. Congratulations, Mr. Hawkinson. I'd like also to congratulate our youth for their arts, love of arts. Congratulations also too. I'm so proud always to see Roselle Park win national and really be proud to be in Roselle Park, be part of Roselle Park. I'm so proud. Congratulations also to all those kids and all those youth. I'd like to also to extend my condolences to our Councilwoman Charlene Story and her mother-in-law. I had last week a meeting at the Kissan Center, it was a great meeting with Karen Antoine. She was doing a great job in the community. I'd like to mention that the farmer market will be extended to November 26th. Our farmer market in Roselle Park through November 26th. I also like to have an open invitation at Union County business-to-business networking events. If anybody like to join that, it's going to be on October 29 at 5:30 p.m. If you need more information, please call 908-558-2292. I also like to say happy dwelling to our resident here and happy new year in Roselle Park. And finally, not least, I've been visited my ward actually to the resident and check up on them. And anybody have any question or any concern, please call me personally on my cell phone or on the website, or if you have any question, feel free to call me anytime. My phone is open 24 hours, 7 days a week. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Before I move on to our 5th Ward Councilman and Councilman Carl Hoganson, I'd like to mention that I had posted something on Facebook with regard to asking questions of those who are running for office. It doesn't appear that there are any debates scheduled at this point where it has been scheduled? Okay. As long as it's scheduled. I did get 4 different questions. What I will do is I will put those questions to the mayoral candidates, because they were addressed to mayoral candidates, and let them answer privately to the concerns of the residents. So that way the questions that people have before they make a decision on election day can be answered appropriately. In the event that the debate doesn't go off, then we'll try to do something on Facebook perhaps to get those questions answered for the residents. Next up is our 5th Ward Council Representative, Mike Yanko.
Good evening, everyone. I like the new look, Mr. Mayor. Again, also congratulations to the cheerleaders, amazing. Putting Roselle Park on the national map again. Congratulations to Councilman Hoganson, incredible honor, Green of the Year. I mean, it's really incredible, very impressive, and you know, I know that you put a lot of years of research, a lot of great people, as you had mentioned, and you know, I will say you're very humble. So I think by the fact that so many people came out and their support is amazing. So congratulations again. Just to my report, before I start, also my condolences to the company family. I think everyone on council will echo that as well. But I did want to remind the residents, October 21st, 7 p.m. here in Borough Hall, we're going to have a community watch meeting. I'd like to address some Halloween safety initiatives. I really encourage people to come out, voice their opinions. It doesn't have to be about Halloween. Any issues that you may have, anything you want to talk about in town related to safety. I've been monitoring and looking at the page online, the Facebook page of the Community Watch. And people are posting great things. I mean, there's great dialogue. People have become more aware, and I think it's just a great way to connect. I know tonight there will be discussion about the SID. That's something that's going to be brought up. And, you know, I've had a lot of time to think about the Special Improvement District, the initiative that we had worked on and put forth to try to grow our business community and provide more energy. I know I've spoken to several members of the SID, but I think it's really important to say, you know, I just want to also put out there that somebody had stated that they've been operational for 7 years. I just think it's really important to note that, you know, I know I initially voted to introduce the abolishment of it, but really just talking to a few people, they've really had an active budget for 2 years. So they really are in an infancy stage when you're talking about financial, you know, from a financial standpoint. So my recommendation, for what it's worth, is to see if we can postpone the discussion about the SID and the second reading until after the election time. And I know Councilman Besides were nice enough to reach out, and I appreciate it. Now, it's just my feedback. I know some others may have other opinions, but that's just my opinion. I figured I'd put it out there to the public. I know that Karen, you're going to announce with the pancake. There's going to be a pancake event coming up on the 18th to raise money for the food pantry, the Sound Center food pantry. Did I say I saw the flyer, right? Okay, I saw it at the Sound Center, but it looks like there will be one. I think it said the proceeds are going to be benefited to the Sound.
Church?
I believe it might be, yes. So I think that's great. I mean, I encourage everyone to donate to the food pantry. I know it doesn't always have to be around the holiday times, just in general. I think it's great. And I saw somebody posted online for the debate that's going to come up. You know, for the debate, everyone should bring an item to the food pantry. And I think that's great. I think it's a great initiative. I encourage people to do that, and I'll certainly bring a can or a couple. So just to also announce a few things. PSE&G has been doing a little bit of work, and I know near the Woodside Gardens, 5th Ward area, and I've had a couple of questions about what it is that they're doing there. They've actually been cleaning out the lines near the train tracks, so they've actually been right in there into that Morris near Railroad area. They came back twice already. I don't know exactly what they're doing. I placed a call to them, but I'd like to get more details because they're cleaning out the tracks, and I want to make sure why they're putting those lines through. Just curious. And then I also had an opportunity to attend the band competition. Boy, it was incredible. I mean, the turnout was tremendous. You know, Roselle Park's band, some of the band parents told me, you know, we're not as big as we used to be, but their performance was a knockout. I mean, they were incredible. They were the last show, standing ovation. You know, they're really mighty, so somebody said. So I just wanted to conclude with that. And again, congratulations. I think it's great. So that concludes my report.
Next up is our Councilman at Large, Council President Carl Hoganson.
Wow. First of all, thank you for everybody. I guess my boys get to see what the Marine does have some emotion, so thank you. But let's get back to borough business. I'd like to thank my fellow Knights for the food drive that they did last week. They did a lot of collection, and again, it's the time of season for both food pantries, so please, help them out. You're going to have to just bear with me, folks. My mind is going to 1,000 places tonight. I'd like to thank the young children that came in on Saturday to do the coloring with me. It's amazing what these kids can think of. And I asked them, as you know, upcoming, and we talked to you, the citizens, you, the homeowners. But I wanted to try something different, and I went, let me go out and talk to the kids. What's your vision of Roselle Park? And one of them, if I may, Jake, can you come up for a second? 5-year-old, Drew, this is his house, and the plane is making too much noise. It's a 5-year-old, okay? So he drew 2 of them with the plane over the house. I said, I know just a gentleman that would appreciate that. Jake was our representative for the airline noise, and he's a big opponent, and he's been doing it for years. So Jake, that's a 5-year-old. Just to let you know, they want a pool, community pool there, council, pool, 5-year plan, Mr. Plum. Actually, they're trying to work on it, movie theater. That's all the people going to the movie theater. They want the movie theater. They're gonna walk it in. I'm a little confused about this one. I know we have some flooding problems in Roselle Park, but the drawbridge and the boat coming down. That's what it is. I'm not sure. But I'm thinking, where's the flooding that we need a drawbridge? But we have some areas. So I will be giving this to my engineer. So I like to thank the parents and the kids because Toys R Us, they want a pet shop. So it was really great, to see the imagination of these young children, and hopefully one day maybe them young children will be sitting up here. So it was really, really great, to see the kids, and I thank them, for that. I attended last night. I went up to the candidates night for the Board of Education, listened to the candidates up there. Had a lot of good comments coming back, a lot of good questions from the townspeople. So that was very good. I also like to just remind everybody this Saturday, the 18th, from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, we have our Operation Chill Out, collecting for the homeless vets in the state of New Jersey. Being a vet myself, this is the way I can honor my fellow Marines, Army, Navy, whatever. There's over 7,400 homeless vets in the state of New Jersey, folks. They look for anything you can bring, toothpaste, toothbrushes, water, anything now with the colder weather. We're looking for newer, fairly new, hats, gloves, scarves, underwear, long underwear, so forth and so on. So that'll be from 10 to 2 at the first aid squad. They're opening that up. We also have a local merchant. Dee's Dog Hut will be there giving out free hot dogs and sodas, for the support. So please come and enjoy that. Again, I'm sorry, and the biggest news that I have, I'm sorry I was late, but there was for good reason for it. As you heard, Colleen Marr, Mayor Fairwood, and the county, I was pleased to go down and represent the Borough of Roselle Park, you, my fellow Parkers, you, Mayor and Council, we listen. I've been listening to you out in the 3rd, 4th, 5th wards, okay? Aldine Park, how come it doesn't look as good as Acker Park, so forth and so on. So we got together, this whole council, we listened, and I'm happy to present Mayor and Council with a check for $59,952. That was the opportunity that I was proud to represent the borough with my fellow colleagues down in the county, and it was very, very nice that we can continue for the safety, the beautification, because all it does go to do is make us Parkers, happier. And the other note, I don't want to take away your Texas thing, but as you know, we strive to bring businesses into town. We work with them, we try to do everything, but I just want to let you know that as of today, due to our fine leadership and workmanship, I come on this phone. One of the businesses that I've been getting a lot of complaints at, is probably along with some of the other council people as I go door to door, is Carl. This is from Chief Morrison. A search of the head shop that's located on Westfield Avenue and Columbus Place that opened up, okay, was conducted by the police department and also the Department of Taxation. The Department of Taxation cited the owner for several violations. All tobacco products were seized because he had not been paying taxes on his cigarettes. He will no longer be allowed to sell any cigarette products. He also has not paid any state taxes in over 8 months, and he must pay back taxes and will also receive fines for that. So I'd like to commend our Roselle Park Police Department on the fine job that they did, along with the other state officials to come in. And this is what that's what we're up here for. As much as we want businesses, but we want businesses that are not going to hurt the community or bring, badness to the community. So I thank everybody here. I thank Councilman Casais being the liaison to the police department, Chief Morrison and his crew. So I thank everybody. I'm sorry, but I'm just, wow. Thank you. Done.
Thank you, and congratulations again. Now we'll move on to our first ward councilman, Councilman Andrew Casais.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to start out by congratulating Councilman Wilkinson again. What's up? Great to have the county here to honor you and have a free to report on you tonight. The only things I have to report on, Mr. Blum and I have been.
I'm sorry, I have one big round closed session. I'm sorry, I apologize. Possible removal of a borough official. Personnel matter? No, they haven't been rights. It was just brought to my attention.
I'm not talking about the person.
No, I'm not mentioning any names. I'm just bringing up the incident. And then the council will decide what we want to do. I'm sorry. Apologize.
All right. Mr. Blum and I have been in negotiations with our local unions for the upcoming terms contract. This term expired at the end of the year, so we're trying to be proactive and get a jump on it this year. I'm happy to say that we're very close with some. Well, we're closer with some than with others, but I do have 3 items for closed session. Each of them are the negotiations, so contract negotiations with the clerical bargaining unit, contract negotiations with the DPW bargaining unit, and contract negotiations with the PBA/SLA. And with regard, I apologize, I had to step out of the room, but just for what Councilman Yakov said regarding the SID ordinance, the board of directors have requested to have meetings offline with members of council. I don't see that personally as a problem. Obviously, it'll be a decision for the whole council. My suggestion would be to have the public hearing tonight as advertised, so we don't have to re-advertise, as there's a cost associated with that. Table the vote to a future meeting, whether that be the next meeting or if the discussions continue. It doesn't matter to me. Have those discussions if members of council and the board want to, and then have the vote sometime after that.
I don't see it as a problem either. I think that when we get to the time that comes up, we'll then make a decision, see who tables it, who seconds it, and what the vote is on the table.
Right. I just want to make sure that everybody feels they're being heard. I don't want to step on anyone's toes. Okay? That concludes my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Now, I know we have Councilwoman Story on the phone, on speakerphone. What I'd like to do is see if she has any comments she can hear us.
Charlie, do you have any comments for your report?
Yes, I just wanted to, I want to congratulate Carl. I want to I would like to remind everybody that coming up this weekend is the 4 centuries in a weekend celebration, and to encourage everyone to come to the Roselle Park Museum to see the Roselle Park's role in World War I exhibit. The museum will be open Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday 12 to 4. There will be some special editions on loan for this weekend only to the exhibit, so I think people will find that interesting. And all the members and friends who wish to be part-time docents, they could please volunteer their time to relieve those who have pledged their full-time service for the weekend. That's a special request from our town historian, Pat Pagnetti. I'd also like to remind everyone that the World War I poem contest will be underway starting this weekend. I apologize for the delay. That's because I have been away. But the booklets have been completed. They will be given out at the library starting tomorrow afternoon and also at the museum this weekend. A dozen merchants are taking part in this, and I think people will find it kind of fun and kind of interesting. And then on Monday, October 27th at 6:30, the library's book club, Between the Covers, will be featuring Birdsong, which is although it was written in the 1990s, it's become a classic about World War I, and I will be facilitating that discussion. So I hope everyone will join us in these events and get to know your neighbors, meet up with everyone, and enjoy everything that Roselle Park has to offer. Finally, many of you folks listening know, my mother-in-law passed away yesterday, and the only thing I can say about her is that if you ever want to make the best wish you can to a bride, it would be to wish her a mother-in-law like Grace Story. Thank you.
Thank you, and our condolences. Next up is our 3rd Ward Council Representative, Councilman Ryan Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. Prior to the meeting, I was at the meeting, the joint sewer meeting at 16 Union County. I do not have any updates on any litigation matters. Congratulations, Councilman Hokinson. Excited for you, and I'm also excited for grant money that the borough was able to secure. And I do have a few comments on a couple of the ordinances second reading, but I will hold those off until the appropriate time. And that will conclude my report. Thank you.
Thank you. I do want to ask you to do me a favor, please, both as the 3rd Ward Council Representative, DPW Liaison. There was a request made by a resident to place a trash bin near Rita's Pharmacy, the corner, Westfield Avenue. Apparently there's a lot of trash on that corner and in the parking lot. So maybe if we can get one of the borough trash bins placed there, it'll resolve some of those issues. If you can deal with DPW, make that happen.
And I'm not positive who had requested, but they did go ahead and put the trash receptacle in front of the Methodist Church on Chestnut Street as well.
Thank you. Frankly, as somebody who has spent a lot of time in the last 6 months or so on Chestnut Street, the trash problem is getting a little bit under control. At some point, I may request that we step up enforcement efforts in that area. I think it's something that we need to talk about, and maybe DPW can look into it and see what the problem really is, because there seems to be an overabundance of not just plain cigarette butts now, but trash being thrown all over the place on Chestnut Street, which doesn't help our downtown look. We'll now move on to our departments, and I will begin with Ms. Karen Tom. Sounds like it's on.
Good evening, everybody. It's good to see everybody up there. My condolences to Charlene Story's family also, I'm sorry. And congratulations to Councilman Hopkinson. And Councilman Youngboff, after you mentioned it, and I was thinking about it, you're absolutely right. It's at the Community United Methodist Church this Saturday, the 18th. I'm not exactly sure of the time frame. I'm sure it's from morning.
I'll tell you. It's from 9 to 12 p.m., $7 for adults, $4 for kids.
9 to 12 a.m.
I'm sorry, yes.
And it is for, the monies will go towards our food pantry at the Casano Center, so we're really grateful to that. And on that same vein, I want to thank everybody that has donated to us a lot of different kinds of non-perishable foods and monetary help, but I will ask that the Thanksgiving baskets are going to be assembled shortly, and anybody who wants to donate turkeys, stuffing, side dishes, a typical Thanksgiving dinner, anything that would go in that, we'd appreciate it, because we have about 25 families that we have to give baskets to. I just want to mention that the Roselle Park Girl Scouts will be having a birthday celebration at the Casano Community Center on Saturday, October 25th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., honoring the founder of the Girl Scouts, Julia Gordon Lowe. The Mother Center of Central Jersey has scheduled a Halloween party for their young children on Wednesday, October 29th from 3 to 5:30 at the center. And again, I want to please invite everybody to come to the Heart Grant program. It's absolutely spectacular. We did get money from Union County, the Heart Grant, so we will be holding the Union County Bandstand program. It's on Saturday, November 15th from 3 to 4:30, and it will feature music of the 1950s and 60s. And if anyone has ever heard Joe Caraselli's Masterpiece Band, it's a big band. It's absolutely fabulous. So please come out. It's free. There'll be light refreshments. It's a very nice event. Our new artist will be featuring, I'm not going to mention it, I'll let Leona come up because I know she's here and she's waiting. I see her, I can hear her from the back. But we are getting a new exhibit. And we will have a speaker at the Casano Community Center on Tuesday, October 21st at 11 o'clock. Mr. Bill Daly, a massive stroke survivor, 70 years old, of Fort Lee, who now volunteers at the Atlantic Rehabilitation Institute. He'll be speaking on stroke awareness, so if anybody would like to come by, it should be very informative, and I give the gentleman a lot of credit. And I just want to bring up the Veterans Day services will be held at the Roselle Park Veterans Library on November 11th. That's a Tuesday this year, and it'll start at 11 o'clock. And that's my report.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Did anybody notice anything about Miss Anton?
There's a special bling or something going on.
The glare is killing me. Come on. Congratulations, Miss Intal. She got engaged. Next time, please just turn it that way and bling the light.
May I leave now?
Congratulations, Army.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I realized after I made the correction, the pancake breakfast that we're talking about is 9 a.m. to 12 noon. So thank you. We'll go next to our Chief Legal Counsel, Mr. Richard Huxley.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to start off by giving my condolences to the Story, Councilman Story, and her family for a loss. Congratulate Councilman Hokinson on his next board today. With regards to the legal front, Mayor, it would be a matter of equipment rental service. I believe you previously indicated was settled. We have the signed dismissal settlement agreement. It was filed with the court, so that case is officially concluded.
Thank you.
Outside of that, I have one matter for closed session, potential litigation involving Mr. D'Agostino versus Roselle Park.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
We'll move on to our Borough Clerk, Mr. Ray Powell.
have two things, Mayor. In light of the election coming up, I received 2 phone calls, and would just like to review 2 statutes for the benefit of everyone. Threatening or intimidating voters, which is NJSA 1934-28. No person shall, directly or indirectly, by himself or by any other person in his behalf, make use of or threaten to make use of any force, violence, or restraint, or inflict or threaten the infliction by himself through any other person of any injury, damage, harm, or loss, or in any manner to practice intimidation upon or against any person, in order to induce or compel such person to vote or refrain from voting at any election, or to vote or refrain from voting for any particular person or persons at any election, or on account of such person having voted or refrained from voting at any election. I also would just like to review, for the benefit of everyone, another statute, which is NJSA 1934-25, titled bribery. If a person shall indirectly, directly or indirectly, by himself or by any other person in his behalf, give, lend, or agree to give or lend, or shall offer, promise, or promise to procure, or endeavor to procure, any money or other valuable consideration or thing to or for any voter, or to or for any person, in order to induce any voter to vote, or refrain from registering for any election, or shall corruptly do or commit any of the acts in this section mentioned, because of any such voter having voted or refrained from voting at any election, or registered or refrained from registering in any election, shall be guilty of a crime of the 3rd degree. Promising an office or employment, a person who shall directly or indirectly by himself or by any other person in his behalf give or procure or agree to give or procure, or offer or promise to procure or endeavor to procure any office, place, or employment to or for any voter, or to or for any person on behalf of such voter, or to or for any other person in order to induce such voter to vote or refrain from voting, or to register or refrain from registering, or shall corruptly do any act above because of any voter having voted or refrained from voting, or having registered or refrained from registering for any election, shall be guilty of a crime of the 3rd degree. Inducing voters, a person who shall directly or indirectly by himself or any other person in his behalf give, lend, or agree to give or lend or procure, or agree to procure, or offer or promise to procure, or endeavor to procure any money or other valuable consideration or thing, or any office, place, employment to or for any voter, or to or for any person, in order to induce such voter or vote to refrain from registering or voting at any election, or shall corruptly do or commit any of the acts in this section mentioned, because of any voter having voted or refrained, is also guilty of a crime of the 3rd degree. So I would just like to highlight those things in lieu of a few of the calls that I've made. And also advise everyone that there are going to be 8 county police officers stationed outside the polling place of all of our election polling locations, and they will be there from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. to ensure that the public has a free access to and from the polling location. And if there are any problems, my number is listed, the 245-6222, extension 1002. I will be here from 5:30 a.m. to probably after the close of polls at 8 p.m. That's all I have to report.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Some of the comments that were made were the result of phone calls that were received both recently and during the last general election, when some residents complained that they did not have access to the polling place as a result of being blocked entry and in other ways being intimidated, though it may not have been apparent to the person or persons that the allegations were made against, there were clear feelings on the part of those who made the phone calls. They would not have made the phone calls, and it's one of those beauties in the eye of the beholder thing. It's the person who's intimidated or feels intimidated that needs to be protected to secure the right to vote. In order to do so this time, the clerk has, in her authority as the person who runs the elections in the borough, has made sure that appropriate security measures are in place, so that way everybody should have unimpeded access to the polling places. That's done at the cost of the taxpayers, and hopefully we can get a good, clean election done where everybody feels comfortable that their vote is counted, and then we don't need to expend taxpayer money in order to make sure that our elections are clean and fair. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Next up is our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Ken Blow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you see, you have Resolution 213-14 tonight, accepting the 2013 audit, and Resolution 214-14, accepting the corrective action report. This year's audit, there was 5 recommendations dealing with the departments. 2 of them were dealing with the Board of Health and the Police Department not depositing items within 48 hours. 1 with the Construction Code Department with their turnovers did not agree with the Finance Office. And 2 dealing with Recreation with records, which we have resolved and set up now, effective July 1st, if everybody remembers. Registrations are handled directly through the finance staff now. Soccer went well, and wrestling is going to be starting, I believe it's next Tuesday, Thursday, and the following Monday over at the high school. That's all I have right now, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your efforts on the audit and making all the corrective action that needs to be done. We appreciate it.
Mayor, could I just make a note? I want to thank Mr. Plum and the Finance Office for working on the 5-year plans that have been coming in, and we've been slowly compiling them, and we hope to have all of them. We actually had to extend it a little bit because some of the departments were delinquent, so in lieu of assuming they want nothing, I extended the deadline a little further so that by the end of the month we should have all of them, and we'll begin to set a schedule. And I want to thank Mr. Plum for that, and also along with the audit, especially with recreation, how the finance office is handling it now. That's a decision we made during the budget process that preempted this issue. So we should have hopefully no problems next year with this, and it won't be repeating.
Thank you. I know that we always thank our Chief Financial Officer for all the work that he's done on the budgeting process and trying to set things up for future council, so that way it makes it easier for the budgeting process. I also want to thank you, Councilman Casillas. I've called on you for the past 2 years to be the budget chair and the finance chair this past year, and I really appreciate the efforts that you've made. It would have been very easy for you just to phone it in, but rather than that, you continue to work hard so that way future councils are prepared. They know what their budgets are going to be in advance, and there's the ability to plan for the betterment of Roselle Park, as opposed to looking back. We're looking forward now, and I appreciate your efforts as well. You've done great work with the assistance of the Chief Financial Officer to make sure that happened. We thank you. I'll hold off on my comments again because I see it's getting close to 8:30, and I want to do the public comment portion. Before we do that, do I hear a motion to accept the reports of the departments, please?
Mayor, members of council, I would like to make a motion to approve the reports of the departments.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Reports of the departments are hereby accepted. At this time, I will entertain a motion in a second to open the public comment portion.
Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion to open the public portion of the meeting. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The public comment portion is now open. Anyone wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind. You just have to come up to the microphone, sir. State your name and address and tell us what's on your mind.
May I?
Please.
My name is George Stafford. My address is 16 Kitchell Avenue in Wharton, New Jersey. But I'm here as the outreach director for the New Jersey Highlands Coalition. And I'm here.
Can you just spell your last name? I'm sorry.
too. Stafford.
Your address?
16 Kitchell. It's just like Mitchell except with a K. And it's Wharton with an H. Thank you. So I'm here from the Highlands Coalition because of this puppy. This is the regional master plan for the Highlands area, and it's an outgrowth of the 2004 Highlands Water Protection and Planning Act. I am fresh from the Highlands Council meeting tonight at 4 o'clock this afternoon in Chester. We're here because this is being revised. And there are 244 communities in New Jersey that receive water, some or all of their water, from New Jersey Highlands sources. I know that you deal with the water company, the DEP, and U.S. Geological Survey says you get up to 50% of your water from Highlands sources, surface sources, or bought from various, the Elizabeth Water Department, South Brunswick, Norton Water Company, New Jersey American Water. The 2004 Highlands Act, which is all in here, and is an amazingly large document, is meant to do three things, basically. It's meant to provide clean water, it's meant to provide plentiful water, and it's meant to hold runoff from the Highlands to the 2004 levels. Now, you know, things like Irene and Sandy, the ones are quite in place. But the thrust of the act is to have redevelopment, gray fields, brown fields, town centers, the sort of thing that we hear about, smart growth kind of things, and save the areas where you have groundwater recharge. And that's important because you want to have peak flows in the rivers that furnish water to the 244 towns in Jersey that get the water. We don't have the kind of system that, say, New York City has. You've seen the Bruce Willis movie where he drives down the big tunnel. That's the third one they're building. They have two in place, both of which are nearly 100 years. One is more than 100 years old, one is almost 100 years old. The third one is being built for $6 billion as a spare, so that they can stop using the other two and go in and check them. Water's been running down those pipes, gigantic as they are, for a century, and nobody's gone in there to look to see what's going on. We don't need to spend that kind of money in New Jersey because we have a natural, what we call green infrastructure in the reservoir systems and the river systems and the groundwater systems that we have in the state. There are a lot of people in the Highlands who are upset with the Highlands. You can't develop this, we can't do that. Here we have rules. They don't want to have the rules. They want to be able to do what they want to do. But they don't live in the state of New Jersey by themselves. It's a community. It's all one economy, and the water that the 244 communities need so desperately, not just for drinking water or for fire purposes, but in your high pressure fire suppression systems. Yes, sir.
I don't mean to cut you off, Joel. You know, we do have a 7-minute time limit, so if you
get
to a particular question or something of us, I want to make sure you get an opportunity to express.
Okay, thank you. Well, I used to be in the radio business, so I should be able to keep it down. At any rate, the sources of the water are threatened by the people who want to change the rules. I've been going around the communities, and we have 61 freeholder groups, environmental commissions, communities, regional boards who have passed, including some of your neighbors like Cranford and Union, Hillside, Rahway, and the Union County freeholders have endorsed our resolution. It's a simple resolution. I'm an old town councilman from Wharton. I was on there for 10 years. It was 950 words on 3 pages when I came in. It's 165 words on 1 page now, because you can't read all that stuff. And included on that is my contact information. So if you have any questions, you can call me or you can go to my website. I have copies for everybody, and I'll send the clerk a Word copy via email tomorrow. And if you don't want to call me and you want to ask me a question now, I'll be more than happy to happy to answer the question. And if you have a door in town hall that you want to prop open with us, I can leave this with you too if you like.
We might as well take it, we'll place it in the library.
Okay.
We thank you for coming to our meeting tonight, and we'll gladly take a look at what you have to provide to us, and we'll certainly consider implementing whatever proclamation or whatever we need to do. Councilman Hopkinson?
I just want to comment about water, but it's really nothing to do with, if I could just, we have, I had an email about 2 weeks ago from an individual from Roselle Park stating that he took the water sample to a local orange and white building store.
Yeah.
The big one. And apparently they sent the sample down to a lab down in Freehold, and it came back, whoa, like nasty, 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 nasty. So I asked him, I said, look, I contact the American Water Company, and they test it every day. We have a local brewery in town that uses thousands and thousands and thousands of gallons. I asked him, he says the water's fine. So what this gentleman did, he went and took the sample, but he didn't go back to the orange and white place. He went to his other place, and the sample, so this orange and white place is pushing this lab to,
It's
buy
like
purifiers,
filtering
do this, do that. So folks, when you're out there, be cautious, because like you said, and believe it or not, that's one of our most precious resources.
All you have to do is look at any of the media. I mean, 2 or 3 times a week you'll see a story from the Midwest or California or overseas. Water is becoming a very, very precious commodity indeed.
I know, I found the kids drew. Thank you. Yeah, just be aware of that, folks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'll just give these to the clerk if I may.
Please.
Councilman Hopkinson, did you say someone's going door to door?
No. Let me rephrase. The gentleman had took, they're giving out free kits. It's like the old rayon stand.
At the store, not here.
No, it's a store. The store, the orange and white big store is giving out samples. You take it home, you bring it to them, they send it to this lab down in Freehold, and they're blasting. And they're scaring people into buying filters, purifiers.
Thank you very much for your visit.
Not your good water. Yours is wet, I like it.
Anyone else wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind.
Leona Suford, 22 East Westfield Avenue. First off, condolences to Charlene's family, and congratulations to Carl. You deserved it. And I want to thank the mayor and council for giving recognition to Roselle Park's young artists, both from Roselle Park Club's art and also the art gallery. These are our future artists, and they need our support. Next week, the Cassano Community Center Art Gallery will open a new exhibit, and it's called Journey Through Remembrance, New Jersey 9/11 Memorials. It's digital montages by Leona Suford, myself. And it runs through December 12th, and there'll be a reception on Wednesday, November 19th, 6:30 to 8 p.m. It's basically photographs of memorials in the Union County area, and then there are superimposed upon it, like the World Trade Center, the memorial in New York, and the new tower in New York City. So it's kind of like stories in each of these. I also want to announce that on November 2nd, the town's children will have a second chance at Halloween. Not that we're going to cancel Halloween again, I hope not, but...
We never canceled it, we postponed the celebration.
The weather canceled it. But what we're having is, again, at Church of the Assumption, Trunk or Treat, where in the parking lot, everybody comes in cars and has all the stuff to give out, the candies and the goodies to the kids in one place, and the kids can come in their costumes, and adults come too, and they can walk around from 2 until 4 p.m. and have all the fun again, scaring everybody.
Thank you. Same as the past couple of years that the Church of the Assumption Knights of Columbus have sponsored that event in advance. I'd like to thank them for doing that. It really is a great activity. And thank you for what you do with the art gallery. It really is nice, and we look forward to seeing your exhibit as well. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind.
Jacob McGarrett, 612 Sheridan Avenue, Roselle Park. Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, viewing audience, members of council, good evening. I have some comments and questions. Comment to the chair. Comment for a borough attorney. October 12th, Star Leisure. State stingy, excuse me, I'm talking to you, all right. State stingy with Passaic River funding. New Jersey reached a proposed $190 million deal with Occidental Chemical, the largest single settlement in the case. But they're forgetting the billions of dollars it's costing the state. At the beginning of the meeting, the council chambers was filled with students, the park cheer, who were national champions. Roselle Park, we have talent, we have champions, too many to mention. Is there an update to the chair? Is there an update on a Halloween, Bender Avenue Halloween? To the chair for the 5th Ward Councilman, Mr. Yakubov. Neighborhood Watch Day. What day is that for? 21st. October. To the chair, for the borough clerk. Who will pay for the county police department to monitor the polling places? Number turnovers. I'm sorry, to the chair, for the borough finance. I don't know why I just don't remember who you are. What are turnovers? And to the chair, parking meters, main parking lot, and the parking meter at Chestnut and Grant. They've been out of order for many, many, many months. Why? And why haven't they been fixed? We're losing revenue. What's happening here? And condolences to 2nd Ward Councilwoman Charlene and her husband, and saving the best for the last. Gung-ho Jeremy. And thank you for making Roselle Park another part of the map. Thank you. Yes, now, anyone want to give me any answers? Or?
Okay, well, I'll respond to what I believe are your questions. Update on Halloween. Halloween should go off as it has every other year, and as appropriate, we'll take any measures in any area of the town where it is required. With regard to the cost of security at the election, that's something that's unfortunately has to be borne by the taxpayers of this community. I've said from the outset that it's unfortunate that it's come down to this, but it just seems that it may be the only way to ensure that everybody has the right to vote, which is something that needs to be protected.
Yes, I know that. Okay.
Anyone else wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind.
Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, viewing audience, members of council, good evening. Oh, Mr. Hope. That's freedom of speech.
We've had this discussion previously. There's also mutual respect in addition to freedom of speech. I try not to speak over people. I apologize if I do ever. I try not to do it. I also don't expect somebody to interrupt me when I'm speaking. It's just the best way to get your thoughts out on the table, to listen what somebody has to say and then respond to it. Anyone else wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind.
Mayor, members of council, seeing that no one is coming forward at this time, I'd like to make a motion to close the public portion of the meeting. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Public comment portion is now closed.
Mr. Mayor, I apologize. I forgot to mention one more thing, if I may. I think it's important to the audience and it's important to everybody. As many of you may have seen in the news or heard, the Raritan Valley Coalition had announced that NJ Transit had indicated that right now they're citing a shortfall of $600,000. They're not going to continue on to phase 2 of the one-seat ride, but just after they had made that announcement, obviously the Raritan Valley Coalition, many communities spoke up and said this is a need for us. I think everyone here commented on that, but just want to make sure that people are aware. The Raritan Valley Rail Coalition is going to be holding a special meeting on October the 27th to discuss the future of the direct train service to New York City. That's our line here. So I'll read the quick note here. The special public meeting on October 27th from 6 to 8 p.m. It'll be at the Cranford Community Center. They invite everyone to come. That's at 220 Walnut Avenue. I also wanted to see if this council would consider, this looks like this may be a long venture, and hopefully not, presenting a resolution that we could send to our legislators in support of the one-seat ride, and that would support the implementation of the Phase 2 initiative. So perhaps at the next council meeting we can have something like that drawn up.
We already have sent a resolution to our legislators regarding the one-seat ride. We can certainly send another one. Mayor Marr has been one of the leaders, she was here this evening, has been one of the leaders on the one-seat ride in recent years. Mayor DiOrio had fought for years to obtain the one-seat ride, and it's something that I've been involved in since I've not only been the mayor but also sat on council. As somebody who has taken the train to New York on a regular basis and early on in my career did it on a daily basis, I can't tell you how convenient it would be to have one-seat ride into the city. I can also tell you that the property values in any community that has experienced the one-seat ride increase. At the time, they were saying $5,000 per minute that's saved in the commute. 5% per minute that's saved in the commute. Some of our property values have already increased as a result of the one-seat ride. And I can tell you that the apartment complexes that are near the train station, I've spoken to the owners of them, they actually came to one of the SID meetings, and they mentioned that the one-seat ride had already resulted in a changing dynamic within the apartment complex. Young couples wanting to move in that have to travel into New York City, willing to pay higher rents perhaps than what they're obtaining right now. So the one-seat ride is definitely a win-win for our borough, and I hope that everybody does support the one-seat ride. I believe Councilwoman Story has previously gone out in support of the one-seat ride, and I believe that everybody here on council should support it. I recommend that everybody in the community also attend that meeting in Cranford. Yes, Councilman Hopkinson.
I know, I sit on the Union County Board of Transportation, and that's a very hot topic. It's been a hot topic since I've been on the last 2 years, and it's going to be a hot topic. It's just a shame that one organization is holding, you know, the power over everybody else. But like you and everybody else, I have personally gone to the legislators and told them that the one-seat ride is like, you know, like our main artery here. You know, if we lose that, we're going to start bleeding. We don't want that. So we constantly talk to them. The Union County Board of Transportation is constantly with them. So yes, it is a very important thing.
Okay, let's move along now. Again, I'll hold off on my comments because I see there's still a lot of members in the audience, and I think that probably some of them are here to speak in the public hearing portion on the ordinances. So rather than keeping everybody here to hear my boring dialogue, we'll move on. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the October 2nd, 2014 meeting?
Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes pending any corrections.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The minutes for the October 2nd, 2014 meeting are hereby approved. I'll entertain a motion and a second on the bills and payrolls, please.
Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion that bills and payrolls be not read and passed for payment.
Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yeopogo?
Yes.
Councilman Hoganson?
Yes.
Councilman Sides?
Yes.
Councilwoman Story?
Yes.
Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
And Councilman El Rossi?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The bills and payrolls are hereby approved. Madam Clerk, could you please read ordinance 2415 by title only?
Mayor, ordinance 2415 is an ordinance providing funding for improvements and upgrades to radio communication system for the Borough of Roselle Park in the County of Union, New Jersey, appropriating $100,000 from capital surplus for such purpose.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll entertain a motion to go into the public hearing portion for ordinance 2415.
Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion that the public hearing on ordinance number 2415, 2415 be open.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Public hearing portion for ordinance 2415 is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on ordinance 2415 and ordinance 2415 only, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind.
Jacob McGarrett, 612 Sheridan Avenue, Roselle Park. Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, viewing audience, members of council, good evening. Does this have anything to do with TV 34?
No.
Yes?
No.
What does it have to do with the 100? Radio communications, what is the $100,000 for?
What happens is, for some reason, the state emergency management program changes frequencies, changes radios, changes communications needs within all of the communities within the state. I'm not exactly sure why they constantly do this kind of thing, but another upgrade is necessary in our radio system. It seems like about every 4 or 5 years we have to do it. The reality is that there's some equipment, such as the fire department or the first aid squad, that have walkie-talkies that get banged up and stuff like that. It's not that big of a deal to upgrade because the equipment gets worn and dated anyway. But 5 years or so, it seems like it's been the track record for a system needing to be upgraded, and that's where we are with this. We need to upgrade our systems. Council President.
What happens is the system's been changed. We have found that there's possibly some dead spots in the town. So to help with the Chief Morrison, Chief Signorella, and Captain Glenn Costello from the 3 major agencies, we were able, and through the help of the finance chair and Ken Blum, we are now correcting that the radio systems will be 100% anywhere that they are at, for the protection of them and the protection of us. So that's the reason why it has to be done.
Does it have anything to do with the Channel 34?
No.
It has nothing to do with Channel 34.
Emergency frequencies.
Oh, okay.
Emergency
Now,
frequencies. Nothing to do with TV 34. Emergency. Police, fire, first aid.
I see.
It. Done. Hoorah.
Good explanation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind with regard to ordinance 2415 and ordinance 2415 only.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion that ordinance number 2415, 2415 be adopted on the second reading and advertised as prescribed by law.
We need to close the public hearing portion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing. Second ordinance 2415.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Now a motion on 2415 has been made by Councilman Hokinson.
Thank you.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments on 2415?
Yes, Mayor, I just want to thank Councilman Hokinson. He has a lot of expertise in this area, and even though I'm the public safety director, public safety liaison, I'm not afraid to admit when I'm not clear on something. Same thing with finance. I defer to Mr. Blum all the time. Very helpful. We heard from the chief of police and the chief of the fire department and captain of the first aid squad. We learned about the deficiencies and we took immediate action on the finance end. At the last meeting, we took action to make sure that this money didn't negatively impact the taxpayer. So we used monies that were previously allocated years ago when we canceled them. They went into surplus, and we're going to use that money to fix a potential public safety issue and make sure that it doesn't become a issue that becomes threatening to public safety. So we targeted it, we're doing something about it, and just great job, I think, all around.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yakubo.
Yes.
Councilman Hokinson.
Yes.
Councilman Cassius.
Yes.
Councilwoman Story.
Yes.
Councilman Kelly.
Yes.
And Councilman El Rossi.
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance 2415 is hereby approved. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance 2416 by title only.
An ordinance amending Chapter 3, Article 17, Section 317.1 of the Code of the Borough of Roselle Park, purchasing for juveniles.
Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion that the public hearing on ordinance number 2416, 2416 be open.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Public hearing portion of ordinance 2416 is now open. Anyone wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind with regard to ordinance 2416 and ordinance 2416 only.
Saul Kiersman, 150 Berlin Street. I guess to pick up from our last comment, Mr. Mayor, is it okay appropriate to ask for a straw poll or no?
I don't think it's appropriate.
Okay, but then I don't want to do it. Okay, that's fine.
You're talking about this particular ordinance?
Because I'm gonna present some stuff, but if I know that the majority of council will vote in its favor, I don't want to waste anyone's time.
I can tell you that the general sentiment, without having taken a straw poll, is that this will probably be approved unless there's something that I don't know about. It just seems like it's common sense.
Could I just note, since we're not taking up any of your time, I just want to note that I have had conversations with the chief of police. I probably should have preempted the opening of the public portion with it, but I think it's just, we could let the public speak and I'll refer everyone after.
I don't think it's going to be an issue based on everything we've heard. And we don't take straw polls in advance, we really don't.
That's why I wanted to ask. I
haven't heard anything negative.
Just to clarify that, in the research, it did look like the town that this was taking the one from did repeal this actual ordinance, so we would be voting on something that no longer exists. But I thank you for your time. And I hope that you remove this because it's, like the mayor said, it's common sense. There's other avenues that police can use and other tools at their disposal that can stop anyone for suspicious activity. So I thank you very much.
Oh, just leave it there for now. Thank you, again. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name, address, and tell us what's on your mind with regard to ordinance 2416 and ordinance 2416.
Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance number 2416-2416.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Ordinance 2416, the public hearing portion for ordinance 2416 is now closed. I will entertain a motion on ordinance 2416.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, Mayor and members of council, I'd like to make a motion that ordinance number 2416-2416 be adopted on second reading and advertised as prescribed by law.
Second.
Questions or comments on 2416?
Yes, Mayor. At the last meeting, comments were made, and I know that when I believe I was on council, we previously voted on enacting this ordinance, the existing ordinance. There were some questions about it, and I know I had some questions from people other than Mr. Kirsten, my district. So I went to the chief of police and I asked him, how frequently is this site used for a citation? Is it necessary for the operations of the night shift in the police department? And his answer was, quite frankly, no. So my recommendation to the council at this point would be to reject this ordinance and move to repeal the existing ordinance so that we don't have any question of whether we're overstepping any bounds. Chief Morrison has advised me that this hasn't been really used in a citation very often at all, and that it would not negatively affect the enforceability of our police department.
So right now on the agenda, we have a motion to accept the amendment to the ordinance. What is your recommendation?
My recommendation would be, we could vote that motion down, or Councilman Hogan could rescind the motion. It's at his discretion. You want to withdraw your motion?
Yes. I'll withdraw my motion.
All right. Oh, no. Make it clean.
Okay.
So you didn't rescind? I didn't rescind.
There's been no rescission of the motion. And based on the comments made by Councilman Cassius, I'm wondering if anybody else has any other comments that they'd like to make at this time.
If you have any questions, I know I just threw this out now, but I thought, using my assignment as public safety liaison, I figured I'd have that conversation with the police chief and just have a frank conversation about whether or not this would negatively affect them. His answer was not. So
I also had the same conversation.
Okay. Any other comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yacobo.
No.
Councilman Hokinson.
No.
Councilman Messiah.
No.
Councilwoman Story.
No.
Councilman Kelly.
No.
And Councilman El Marassi.
No.
6 votes in the negative.
So, resolution 2416 fails.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, ordinance 2416 fails.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Could you please read ordinance 2415 by title only?
2417, an ordinance amending Chapter 4.3, Property Maintenance, Section 4.3 and 4.7 of the Code of the Borough of Roselle Park. 19, Property Maintenance, Sections 4.3 and 4.7 of the Code of the Borough of Roselle Park, entitled Prohibited Vegetation and Violations and Penalties.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion that the public hearing on ordinance number 2417-2417 be open.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Public hearing portion for ordinance 2417 is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on ordinance 2417 and ordinance 2417 only, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind.
Okay, Mayor, members of council, I would like to make a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance number 2417, 2417. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Public hearing on ordinance 2417 is now closed.
Mayor, I'd like to make Mayor and members of council, I would like to make a motion for ordinance number 2417, 2417, be adopted on the second reading as advertised as prescribed by law. Second.
Any questions or comments? Please.
I'd like to thank our DPW, Mark Pasquale, and Richie Graves, for bringing this together. As you've heard numerous times in public promotions, this is about the abandoned houses that have been neglected, and people are calling up. We've had numerous people come to the public portion complaining about it. So now what we did as members of council is making it tougher, that the banks will have to address the problem quicker because it's only going to cost them more money. And you, the homeowners, don't deserve, high grass. So I applaud everybody, DPW's hard work in getting this done, and I applaud everybody for voting it in.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yacobo?
Yes.
Councilman Hoganson?
Yes.
Councilman Casais?
Yes.
Councilwoman Story?
Yes.
Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
And Councilman Almarasi?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance 2417 is hereby approved. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance 2418 by title only.
Is 2418, an ordinance amending the code of the Borough of Roselle Park, abolishing Chapter 34 entitled Special Improvement District.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mayor, are we...
We're going to do the public hearing portion.
Okay, all right, Mayor and members of council, I'd like to make a motion that the public hearing on ordinance number 2418, 2418 be opened. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The public hearing portion for 2418 is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on ordinance 2418 and 2418 only, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind. Before anybody does come up, if anybody is planning on coming up, I just want to say that we have discussed the potential of abolishing the Special Improvement District. There have been some questions and comments by business owners, by property owners, by residents, and by members of council. I have requested that reach out take place with the CID to determine what exactly the problems are, to see if there's any way to salvage this without causing undue aggravation or harm to property owners, business owners, and residents. And I've also asked that in lieu of the Special Improvement District, we consider some alternatives such as a Chamber of Commerce or something. I just don't want to see something that's starting to pick up steam now fail in its infancy. We understand that there are some issues with it, and I ask everybody to work together, whether it be tonight by a vote, hearing the comments of residents that might have something to say this evening, or in the future, prior to any vote, to make sure that we're doing the right thing, to make sure our downtown is moving forward in the right direction. With that said, I again open the floor to anybody wishing to speak on ordinance 2418 and ordinance 2418 only.
Mike Pasquith, 319 Chestnut Street. I'm a member of the board of this CID. I don't want to tie up a lot of your time tonight.
Just bring the mic a little closer to you.
I don't want to tie a lot of time up. We're going to move this on and have a discussion about this. But there seems to be a bit of misinformation that's going around. I want to take an opportunity to address some of those issues. So if you'll bear with me for a few minutes, I'll kind of run through this a little bit.
In the public hearing portion, by the way, there's no time limit. So
okay, well, I'm not going to tie it too long. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be heard. I'm not sure what expectations you had and thought the city could accomplish in the 24 months that we've had funding. And I understand that with an election approaching, you're reacting to some folks who resent the assessment as an added tax when we're already all being heavily burdened tax-wise. The last thing I want to do is write another mandatory check, but I prefer to look at the SID assessment as an investment in Roselle Park. It's a revenue stream that can be directly applied to situations benefiting from correction in our downtown. We have one of the smallest, if not the smallest, SID budgets in the state. And I know that some folks have suggested that nothing is being done and we're overpaying for professional consultancy fees. But I have to take exception with both of those statements. When we interviewed professional managers several years back, First Team Management came with the best bid, and there's not another SID in the state that doesn't require a management assistant of this type. We're paying far less for a seasoned principal with 30-plus years of experience and his staffed office, including telephone and copier services, and you could hire half of a novice admin assistant or a secretary for. Our management staff receives less than 30% of our budget, which is lower than any other SID in the state, especially small SIDs in New Jersey. That allows us to dedicate more of the funds to programs benefiting SID members in the town. Our first year was spent largely complying with the legal rigors that the state has established for SID, as well as 2 costly audits, and included countless hours back and forth with IRS offices all over the country to establish our tax status and untangle some of the errors that occurred back in 2005 when the SID was originally set up. If we had to pay an attorney or an accountant to deal with that, it would swallow the entire budget plus some. Instead, it was handled within the parameters of the retainer for First Team Management and did not incur additional fees. FTM has always been responsive to us and has been a proactive partner in trying to get programs in place for everyone in the town. In addition to the legal and accounting requirements with which we had to comply, these 24 months of funding saw the following. We needed signage erected to delineate the district, every one of which was subscribed to and paid for by a SID member. We worked closely with Rich Graves and the DPW, whom I thank for assisting us in the installation of the signage, and the relocation of several benches downtown which some merchants claim caused loitering. We also arranged the New Jersey DOT and DPW to get trees trimmed back that were obstructing a clear view of a number of businesses on Westfield Avenue after receiving complaints from the merchants. We have provided 4 seasonal plantings to beautify Chestnut Street and Westfield Avenue. We have sponsored trophies at the various Casano Center car shows, banners for the Summer Fest program, and supported the police department with a bouncy house for the kids on National Night Out. Currently, we're in the middle of publishing a town-specific events calendar to be mailed to all 5,000 residences in about 8 weeks. We're the only SID in Essex and Union counties to do so. Also in the works is a discount purchase card for residents of the apartment buildings included in the SID to be redeemed in SID businesses. Rita Pharmacy sent in their attention to honor the discount card just this morning. And what I feel is most important is a spruce up grant program that allows us to directly fund businesses within the SID seeking to do facade or other improvements to their premises. Our initial grant was awarded this summer and is nearly completed, and we've received inquiries about the grant program from other SID members. So things are being done and we are gaining traction. To be sure, any SID is a slow building process. There are no magic wands going to turn the downtown into Disney World overnight. And it's hampered even further when you have a largely apathetic business community that isn't interested in attending meetings, offering suggestions, or working with us to achieve a common objective. I know that a number of SSEs have their business interests here but reside elsewhere, which dilutes their focus on Roselle Park and heightens their opposition when it comes to writing a check in support of the SID. While there are clearly dissenters who don't wish the SID to continue, there are also business and property owners who do. In recent months, we've been approached by a number of them who have asked that the SID district be extended further up Chestnut Street to enable them to join with the SID, including one property owner who is willing to become the SID's largest single tax property in the district. So the problem isn't with the management group, particularly if you look at their costs in comparison to other towns spending exponentially more for these services. Perhaps handling the administration of the SID at Borough Hall is a burden, and if so, perhaps a discussion would reveal alternative ways of handling the SID's administration so as not to add undue workloads to municipal employees. I don't know if that's an issue, but it seems as though it would be. In closing, the establishment of a SID or its abolishment is part of the legacy of the governing body. It's not mine or Scott's or anybody else who sits on the board. We've volunteered our time and energy to get this off the ground, and that's all we've done. If you wish to be perceived as regressive and reactive instead of proactive, you can shut down the SID. When the town continues to slowly circle the drain, the kids' SID is going to be added to a list of unfulfilled promises throughout the town. We've got Avalon Bay, we've got the Sullivan Chevrolet property. These are all things we need to get moving to get traction. We've always said they've been integral to jumpstarting the development with M&T. And not the least, that the constantly escalating property taxes burden us all by forcing rents to be raised and slowing down the transition of properties for sale. Understand that the SID is the last bulwark of people who are actually caring and trying to do something to stave off the town's further decline. If you can't see that, you're being short-sighted. No one said we could affect the turnaround in 2 years, and in this town, 5 years might be closer to the truth if we garnered the support of business owners populating the downtown. We're an easy target because we're at added expense. It's very sad that some of our local business people haven't yet realized that there is no free lunch. Without a revenue stream to fund projects and support the business district, the town can only go in two possible directions, backwards or downwards, either of which would be my choice, and I don't think it should be yours either. That's all I have. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Good evening. Scott Stanford, 1 Barbary Lane, Colson, New Jersey. I thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak before you this evening. For those in council that don't know me, I'm a property owner in town. I own a business at 327 Chestnut. I grew up in town. I'm a life member of the First Aid Squad. And although I don't live in town any longer, I still come here every day for my insurance agency. And I'm presently serving as the vice president of the SID board. My property, my building on Chestnut Street, was last appraised in 2008. And at that time, since that time, the building value has decreased over 40%. Now, granted, a lot of that is a byproduct of the economy, but a good chunk of that is because of the neglect the downtown area has received by the borough, let's say for lack of a better phrase. It just seems like an abandoned child. But in the last 12 months, we've all seen that downtown is once again getting its heartbeat back. The vacancies have declined. There's been a number of unique boutique-style businesses, such as the art gallery, the yoga studio, and they're all helping to draw people to the downtown area. And this is due in a good part because of the city's ongoing efforts at beautification, revival, and promotion. Through these and other ongoing efforts, we hope to see this bring more life into town and thus increase property values. The governing body before me has dealt a substantial amount of unjustified criticism towards the SID and its management. However, as difficult as that has been for me to understand, I find it even more puzzling that none of the governing body, or the vast majority, have approached us or asked us for any updates or expressed any of their concerns. Actually, Councilman Casillas introduced the ordinance to eliminate the SID without having directly spoken to us or attending any of the SID meetings in well over a year. So we're left just kind of scratching our head as to what the motivation for this really was. When we finally did get notified of the intentions, it was explained to us that perhaps the Chamber of Commerce might be part beneficial, and I can see the points. However, I can only respond to that by reminding you that a chamber is a voluntary membership, voluntary organization, and thus that means voluntary dues payment. So that can only result in minimal revenues and therefore even more minimal results. Since Mike Pasco has already previously reviewed many of the projects and programs that we participated in, I'm not going to go over those again, I'm not going to rehash them. But I would like to reiterate and remind you that the SID has only been financed for 2 years. And for those of you that might work in the private sector, and in particular, and any of you who work in small business, you should know that it takes at least 2 or more years to show any kind of real success. And we're really just entering year 3, and we have a long laundry list of accomplishments that have already been outlined. So really, I just implore you to please consider what is best for the borough, and not what is best for the few negative grumblings from those business owners that want to do nothing but take everything they can from Roselle Park without investigating anything back into it. In closing, I would just like to thank you for your time and hope that my comments will help you better understand the SID and the direction we're heading. And that up, any questions or any comments?
Are there any questions or comments? We thank you all, Mr. Campbell.
Leona Suford, 22 East Westfield Avenue. What would the town look like without all those lovely flowers that were there all summer? And now the mums that Sid did. We have one storefront now that was really done nicely because of their program. But I have a criticism, not really of the SID, but of the way the SID is run. And what I'm trying to say is that the SID has an image problem. And it's because, well, as a citizen of the town, I had no idea they're going to send out calendars or that there's going to be these discount cards. Where is the SID's PR push? I've never seen any press releases put out by SID. Maybe there was one or two, I don't know, but it's prep to get the SID known by the town and also to show the businesses that the SID is doing something. You have to do some kind of PR program. I haven't seen any of that. So it's not, I don't see the sense in abolishing the SID. They have done some things, but they should do something so that the town recognizes they're doing it. They're not promoting themselves. And also, other towns that have a SID, or a downtown improvement district, whatever they call it, have a link from their main website. We don't have that, and yet the SID does have a website where they update and put things on, like the program to update to upgrade the storefronts. But we don't have a link from our website. So you go to Roselle Park website, which nowadays, you know, you go online, you go on the web for all of these things, you don't see anything. So I'm against having the SID being eliminated because I think they do serve a purpose, because what will fill the vacuum if they don't exist anymore? Not a chamber of commerce. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
My name is Orlando Ayala, 60 East Westfield Avenue.
Can I please ask, it's Mr. Ayala?
Yes.
Could you please spell that?
A-I-E-L-O. I don't have no paper with me. I'm not prepared for this, but
Mr. Ayala, please pull the mic closer to you.
for me, this kind of special improvement or seat, whatever they call, I'm sorry for my English, but it's a legal organized crime. I come from Italy and I know the way those things work. There only are a few people who make money. Those people who collect the money, and with the city who force the taxpayer to pay the extra tax, no matter how you put it, how you do it, how you did it. That is what it's about. I come from Italy, in Calabria. If you go to Sicily, that's the same system they use it. They call it pizzica. They go over there to the business people, they take percentage of this or that. Over there, they don't have the mayor to enforce the law. Over here, they have the mayor to enforce the law. That's so all what it's about, because what they doing for the surprise, for all that money, $1,700, they only put 4 flowers over there in my front on the building. 70, do you know how many mama put over there? They took the good flower out and they put the junky flower in. That's all to brainwash people, taxpayer people. I asked all the other buildings around over there to realize it's a waste of time you're going over there to fight for. Mr. Mayor, the town can do better job than this kind of organization, what I call illegal organized. That's what it's all about. That's what I feel about. If you go to the system the way they do in South Italy and other islands of Sicily, it's the same system. Over here is illegal, over there is illegal. That's the only difference. Please, shut off that system over there, whatever they call themselves, because only a few people make money. The guy who organized for this make 30 or 40%, with a few junkie contractors, they go over there and they get the kickbacks. That's what I feel, and that's what I speak up. It's the best way, if you every single what is the owner of the buildings or the shop, you go in and say, you ask every single one to improve their property, to improve that thing. They do by themselves. They don't need somebody else to push to go with put a gun over there in their head and say, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. That's what people gotta do volunteer by themselves. Not because somebody pushed them to do it. Because that's what it is. Instead to use whatever it is, their own people, they use the city to enforce the law. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ariello, for your comments. Anyone else wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what type of moment.
Saul Kirsten, 150 Berwyn Street. I guess I just have a question. Is the special improvement district a combination of both private and municipal? Is it a municipal entity? Does it follow municipal laws? Because the Chamber of Commerce, I presume, is a private organization. Can anyone explain it? Okay, I'm sorry.
In general, special improvement district, the regulations are regulated by New Jersey state statute. There's certain things they need to abide by, an annual report, budget, audit, those type things.
And it's something I think the DCA is the agency that actually enforces the law for the special improvement districts.
Because I'm wondering, is the public invited to their meetings?
Absolutely. They're invited.
Okay, because I used to go to the meetings, and I was told one time that it was a amalgam or a combination or a collaboration, and that it didn't follow those laws. So perhaps maybe because I never heard of, I didn't know of any notices of, and I don't know if they need to follow that, the notice regulation, or if their records are operable, because I was told they weren't. I kid you not. And I know you have a problem with that. And so I guess what I'm trying to get at is, perhaps if that were addressed, and then maybe the public could be allowed to see the meetings. Because I have been, and to Mr. Pascal and Stafford's, they did allow me into the meetings when I thought I wasn't allowed to. But I think that gave an insight into their discussions. Like a meeting like this, if people hear about what happened at the meeting as opposed to being in it, then you see more. And I think if that was announced more, that it's a meeting, this is what's going to be, it's at this time, please come. I think it would be very informative, and I think it would, like Ms. Suford said, it would allow the public to become more aware. But I was told that. We'll discuss later.
I'm not sure who told you those things. I know that I've been probably to at least half of the SID meetings since I've been the mayor, maybe not quite half of them. And I've never heard anybody turned away at any of the meetings that I've been to. That much I've been telling. I don't know if it has happened. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I don't know of anybody that would turn people away. I think the SID, based on Ms. Suford's comments earlier, is interested in getting people to their meetings and getting input from people. So I don't think that that's ever been an issue. I may be wrong. But I don't
Because at the meetings that I were, and I don't want to cut you off, Mr. Mayor, but at the meetings I were, that's where actually they discussed a lot of ideas, and you could see the discussions back and forth. And I think it would be beneficial. Ms. Borough Clerk, I presume you have
All
something.
documents are absolutely a public document.
Thank you very much, and I think I
And
will
if
take
you
advantage of it.
question over requests and do not get them, I'm sure you know that you can go to the Government Records Council in the state of New Jersey to obtain your documents.
But, and it was in the discussion, and I was told, and I was like, okay, I don't think so.
Any record made or created as a result of taxpayer funds, which the city is absolutely paid for by
That's what I
taxpayer
was-
funds, is a public document.
And that's what I said, because it's taxpayer funds. But I asked that question because I wanted to get to the point of maybe having the CID announce the meetings.
They're absolutely subject to the sunshine law. They should be advertising their public meetings, and they're supposed to be open to the public.
Thank you
And
very
if
much.
they're advertised for 6 p.m., they may not start at 5 or 5:30 p.m. They must start at 6 p.m. as the time of advertising.
Ms. Burkholder, thank you very much. And I thank you.
Also, there's been times where, back in 2009, when I first came on and I was asked to first sit in by the former mayor, that there was times that there was, if I would be there, and 2 other council people, somebody else would come in, one of us would have to leave.
Right, because that would constitute.
Right.
You can't have 4 members of council
Right.
at any given meeting if it's not advertised appropriately for council.
Thank you very much to everyone.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak with regard to ordinance 2418 and 2418 only? Please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us the line.
Jacob McGarris, exposed Sheridan Avenue, Roselle Park. About a year and a half ago, the city folks had a meeting at Costa's. I was at that meeting, and so was Mr. Kirsten. We were told we couldn't be there, but since we are there, we can stay. Now, if either Mr. Pasquale or Sanford want to contest what I'm saying, please do. And I think this whole thing is a lack of communications. Thank you.
Maybe I can address it. The comments that you're making are in some ways counterintuitive. If you were allowed to stay, obviously the meeting was open. I don't know if anybody said that you were not allowed to be there. Maybe there was a lack of communications at that point. But it's counterintuitive to say we're not allowed to be here, but then we were allowed to stay. So I don't know that that would be, and I may ask for some legal guidance, but just to be told something, but then to have another action take place, it's the action that counts. That's what carries the weight. We're permitted to stay. I can honestly say, in all the meetings I've been to, I have never heard a member of the CID say you're not allowed to be at this meeting. Again, I think that maybe we're talking about a lack of communication. I can't imagine knowing the parties involved, unless they were doing some kind of a closed session item that would later have to be discussed in public, if decisions were made, that they would not permit members of the public to attend the meeting.
Mayor, I would agree, it's the action that counts. Now, if the statement made prevented someone from going to a future meeting, that's an issue, but in terms of that meeting that Mr. Ruggiero talked about, it would be the action that counted. They were allowed to stay there, so there would be no violation of that meeting. But if the statements made or allegedly made prevented or stopped the individuals from going to a future meeting, that could be an issue.
Thank you. Does that pretty much answer? Anyone else wishing to speak with regard to ordinance 2418 and ordinance 2418 only, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind.
Mayor, I would like to make Mayor and members of council, I would like to make a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance number 2418.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Public hearing with regard to 2418 is now closed.
Mayor, members of council, I would like to make a motion that ordinance number 2418 be adopted in its second reading and advertised as prescribed by law.
I'd like to amend the table, but I would like it not.
Okay, so a motion was made and then an amendment to table the motion was made. I want to make sure I'm following the proper process.
I'll second the amendment table.
Okay, second to the motion to amend At this time, I will open the floor to questions or comments with regard to the motion to amend to table the motion.
Yes, Mayor. I said at the beginning of the. Good? I said at the beginning that we would table this because I think that's the best way to proceed. I am a little discouraged. I can understand I have not been to the meetings. And I actually do, I respect and understand a lot of Mr. Pastor's points. I am discouraged by the idea that voting to abolish the SID would somehow add to the borough's further decline. Because I feel that the borough is more than the SID. I think the downtown is more than the SID. I think that in all reality, and the real reason I brought this up is because there's real people like this gentleman, but I'm not speaking just for him because I don't know him. There are people who really don't want to be in this, and I can understand that with every group, but this is a vital organ for our community. I feel something like a Chamber of Commerce, where it's voluntary, might be better. But to compel people where we have absolute control over, making these people pay for something they truly do not want to pay, I just don't feel comfortable with it. Like Mayor Carty said, I hope there is a way forward because I really do appreciate the work that you gentlemen have put into it, getting it off the ground, and your obvious love for the community, and I truly respect that. To be very frank with both of you, I'm disappointed that you married yourself to the management company that you have. Mr. Biagini isn't here, so I'm not going to talk negatively directly about him. I frankly don't feel that they do enough for you. Obviously, you deal with them all the time, but I just haven't seen. Maybe it's the communication, maybe it's the public relations, maybe it's something, but something's missing to me. Maybe in the conversations, and I encourage the other members of council to have these conversations. I just, in my 3 years, and when I ran for council, and prior to me running for council, I was a proponent of this. I loved the idea because I see it work in other communities. I see chambers of commerce work in other communities. At this point, maybe we try a chamber of commerce. I know people have said we've done it in the past. I don't know that. I wasn't around to see that, but something other than compelling people and truly making them upset. I know a SID has to be contiguous. I'd love to. The only way I can think of picking out the businesses that really want to do it is a chamber of commerce. So I don't know the answers. All I know is that I personally don't feel the system we have right now is working. And obviously we strongly disagree with each other, and that's okay. If the other members of council want to further discuss this, that's why I'm putting it up to table it. And those discussions can be had and won't be impacted by the election politics. That's what I wanted to make up.
I just have one comment as to what Councilman earlier made a comment about the SID wants to meet with the council individually. You're really not supposed to do that if you're going to discuss business. You're not supposed to deliberately avoid the Open Public Meetings Act. You're not supposed to pick people and meet with them separately. If you're going to have a meeting, you need to have it publicly and have it with the whole council as a body.
Let me just comment on that. I don't think it's skirting the law, and I can probably get some input. Certainly it's not improper for people to have informational sessions to get information. And if one of the things that's been lacking thus far is information from the city, I would encourage council members to try to obtain that information by any means possible. If they feel comfortable and they don't think they need the information, then there should be no meeting. If it's a matter of setting up a public meeting, I think we should certainly consider that to hear the pros and cons. Mr. Aiello makes an argument against the SID. It sounds like some other residents had some issues with the SID. Mr. Pasqua, Mr. Stanford had come forward and explained their efforts over the past 5-7 years, basically, only 2 years of which have been funded. And I think that it's a good discourse to have. I go back to some of my prior experiences in this community. I don't think it's any secret, even though he looks much younger than I am. Scott was a classmate of mine in school. So I've grown up in this town along with Scott. He has a true love for the town. And he'll understand what I'm talking about. After we graduated high school, I went off to college and I joined the Army. And when I came back to town, the Wood School was gone. And here we are, 30 years later, talking about the Wood School being gone. I went away on a deployment, and I came back, and Borough Hall was closed down. And the building that we're sitting in now was renovated as the Borough Hall. When we tore down the old Borough Hall, people say that drew the blood, sucked the air right out of our downtown community. It used to be that people could go to the coffee shop across the street, hit the police station and pay their parking ticket, go to Vito's to get a haircut, and go to the flower shop down the street. Maybe even stopping off at Mr. DeMarco's and get their shoes fixed, go to the hardware store, Chestnut Hill. It's not like that anymore. The things that we regret in this community have always been the things that we've torn down and the things that we've stopped doing along the way. And I just hope that everybody considers whether it's time to tear down the SID and stop it along the way before they have an opportunity to prove themselves. Look, some of the business owners and I have talked. I understand their concerns. I've heard from Mr. Yellow before, and I truly understand your concerns. Every penny that comes out of your pocket is painful. Every penny that comes out of every business owner's pocket is painful. We understand that. But to not do anything leads us down the path that we've been in before. And believe me, I've spoken to, I think, every business owner and property owner on that stretch in the T intersection in the past 4 years. And there are those who criticize any additional taxation. In some cases, I've had one business owner call it taxation without representation. I've had a group of other business owners praise the fact that the downtown has started to see some improvement. We as a community have always regretted tearing things down. We have never regretted building things up. There's one other experience that we had in the last 10 years. Actually, it was 14 years ago, the community had a bond referendum to increase the size of our schools, to modernize our schools and provide for additional capacity in our schools. The initial referendum was shot down. I believe it was $19.4 million in that referendum. The state was going to pay 60% of the construction cost to have additions made to our schools. The initial bond referendum was shot down. A subsequent bond referendum was passed for $12.8 million. The state contributed less than 50% towards that bond referendum. The cost of the additional referendum, off the top of my head, and I don't know the numbers, probably were in the neighborhood of $50,000 to $100,000 to do all the advertising, publication, and get the second bond referendum on the ballot. And then the interest rates for bonds had gone up to the point where the cost for the construction of our schools was similar to what we would have gotten for the $19.4 million bond referendum. The upshot was 3 classrooms were eliminated, an elevator, and some office space for the principals, as well as meeting rooms along the way. Recently, when we added full-day kindergarten, those 3 classrooms really would have come in handy, rather than closing down some of the library spaces. All that I ask everybody sitting up here to do, it sounds like there's been a motion to table this at this point. All that I ask everybody to do is to please, think about it, go into it with your eyes wide open. Speak to Mr. Aiello, speak to the SID representatives, speak to the business owners downtown. They really are nice people, every one of them individually. Joe at Joe and Jody's is a great guy to talk to. I think that the woman who owns the art gallery is beautiful and wonderful to talk to. She happens to be my wife. Nicole Costas, John Boyle, who owns a lot of the properties, Chestnut Hill Market, the dentist that happens to be moving onto Westfield Avenue, the park dentists that are above World of Liquors, the managers and owners of World of Liquors. They're all great people. Talk to them and get all of their input before you make a decision. So that way you're doing the absolute best thing for the community, not being reactive. Because I'm telling you that as a community, we have always regretted doing the reactive thing. So please think about it, give it a lot of thought. Are there any other questions or comments?
I have something to add. Just, and I'll echo what the mayor said and other members of the council, because I think it's important to have the dialogue and discussion about the SID and the direction of the SID. And I know that Ms. Super came up and mentioned about communication, and Mr. Aiello came up and vented his side of his perception of the SID. And I appreciate that, because to me as a council person, you know, you hear different things when you go door to door and you talk to people, and some people tell you, you know, I want to see more out of the SID, what's the plan? And some people tell me that it's no good, get rid of it. So you don't really get the full story. I've taken the time, I've been to several SID meetings over the years. You know, I haven't been to one this year, but I have attended, and you know, the one time that I remember attending, I had stated that you have my support. I want to see this succeed. I want to see this go somewhere. I want to make sure that, you know, the investment that you're making, the revenue that's being collected from the businesses within the business zone in the SID, it is reinvesting back into the community. And, you know, I've emailed Mr. Biagini, who's the manager of the SID, several times, and I had asked him on several occasions, can you tell me, give me not just a calendar, but an implementation phase of when will this happen? When will this happen? What do you anticipate is next? Just because I wanted to have that information out there. And I do my own newsletter in the 5th Ward. I publicize the SID and the things in there. And I think maybe there is a lack of communication. I know it's volunteer, and I know speaking to you guys, but she's speaking to everybody. You know, I know it's a volunteer effort on behalf of the business owners, but, you know, since it's run by the borough in some way, that the borough has an impact and there's a state statute, you know, perhaps not only should we have a council liaison who should come back and report to us, but maybe a representative from your group would come here if we do continue with this SID and give us an update. This is going on. This is going to be happening. This is what we're looking to do. Because one of the things that I remember is that you guys wanted to do courtesy to the downtown area and sponsor and pay for the cost of the meters. I think it was a weekend or a couple of weekends during a certain time. We were trying to work out when the times were, and all of a sudden I didn't hear anything. You know, it didn't happen, and I was concerned. I said, you know, why? You know, where to go is a great idea. I thought it'd be great. You have little bags that are sponsored by the SID, you know, whatever. Residents would get excited. It's a great publicity way to get your PR out there. And I didn't hear anything about it. And it never really came before the council for discussion for us to vote. Later on, when I investigated it, I was told that, you know, there was a discrepancy between the amount of cost that the SID would compensate to the amount that you were willing to give in order to, and correct me if I'm wrong, but, you know, and to me, you're doing something for the community. You know, I think the way it was assessed, and maybe I'm wrong because this was a while ago, it was assessed based on the fact that if every spot had a meter fed all day long, this is how much a spot would cost, 200-something bucks, and you add it up, and it added up to a certain amount, and you know that wasn't a realistic, I think, way to calculate it, good or bad. You know, but you were doing something for the community. So I think if there was dialogue to the council from whatever channel it came, me for one, I would have said, great, we'll do it for a weekend or two. If you're willing to contribute money back into the community, that's fine. But you're doing some good for the town. And I think that would have been a jump start. And, I would like to see more advertising, more publication. I think we can do our part as well with TV 34, and we have the board at the Casano Center. Whatever we can do to be able to help. I don't want to personally, after speaking to several members, give up on the state. I think it's a great initiative. There are many communities that have it in place for a reason. It does succeed if you do it the right way. And again, we can have dialogue about what approaches we could take. And I encourage Mr. Aiello, Mr. Pasqua, and everybody else, get together. Have dialogue, discussion, not just resistance about everything. And you might find some common ground, you might not, and that's okay. But at least you have the discussion. And of course, any business in the downtown area wants to make sure they see the benefit to them. So if you're spending money, you want to see money coming in. So hopefully the idea of the little card that you would get would bring people into the town, and then townspeople, more of them would frequent the downtown business area. And you would see a rise in your consumers coming in. And you'll see the benefit there. And, again, that has to be promoted, and I'm happy to help. So I appreciate Councilman Casillas and the residents let me rant about it a little bit, but I think it was important to be said. And I agree with the mayor. And, we've had our disconnects here and there, but, when we tear things down, we do regret it. And when we build things up, they do benefit, and we do a good job with them. And I feel that when there's passion applied to it, and our town's always been a community of volunteerism, you do see the difference, and there is a positive impact. And I think maybe we can work together more. And whatever I can do to help, I want to help. So thank you again, and I appreciate the council and Councilman Casillas for listening to the council.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Mayor, I just want to say something, and I know we could go on all night with this. And I just want to point out, I'm really, and I think most of you know me well enough, I'm really not a closed-minded person, but to me, this comes down to a matter of, and the complaints that I've heard and the people I've talked to, matter of making something so people are compelled to do it, or they're voluntarily welcome to do it. That's why I propose this, and that's where I see the objections to this. And I understand, believe me, and I can fully understand all of the comments that were made today. But for me, I'm tabling this because I'm a man of my word, but that's where I fall on this issue, and I appreciate the debate tonight, honestly.
Thank you. And absolutely, I think everybody's doing the right thing by bringing it up, by opening the discussion and making it happen. The only comment that I would make is the downtown was in a downward spiral because people were asked to voluntarily do some of these things. It didn't happen. And I think that things are happening now. I'm not saying that SIT is the ultimate answer, but I want people to at least discuss it and figure it out to make sure that we're doing the right thing. You're never going to get 100% of the people to agree with what you're doing. Clearly, you're not going to get Mr. Aiello to think that it's a good idea. You're not going to get the representatives of the SIT to think it's a bad idea. But there has to be some middle ground, and I think we can get there if we all work together. I appreciate it. Any other comments?
Just to add that today, when I was coming into the council meeting and handed Mr. Pasqua an article that I found, you remind the town that it was, Rutherford, right, and they had the SIT implemented. There was an article about abolishing the SIT, and the council's reviewing the abolishment of the SIT there after SIT's implementation of 20 years. So quite a long time for them to realize it wasn't working for them. I don't think we're looking to stretch it out for that long. We want to see it's working within the next year, maybe 2 years at most. But now that you have some funding, I know as any business, whether you're a startup business or, it takes time. And most businesses fail in the first year. And, it takes time to break even and then see the impact. So I'm hoping that, as we're following the business model here, there's going to be success that's going to be tied to this. And we might look back at this meeting and say, hey, look, we were this close, and look at the difference that it's made. So with that, I conclude, and I thank everyone for the patience.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Just real quick, Mayor, and I appreciate the discussion tonight. And I just thought before I give my vote, whether to table it or whatever we decide, that'd be just fair to give my thoughts on it and just to kind of explain why we voted the way we're voting. And it's just I'm fundamentally against imposing additional tax in the business area. Obviously, we've had compelling arguments from both sides, but I just thought it'd be fair for me to provide an explanation before moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? The vote is to table the ordinance. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yacobo to table.
Yes.
Councilman Hokinson.
Yes.
Councilman Cassius.
Yes.
Councilwoman Story.
Yes.
Councilman Kelly.
No.
Councilman El Marasi.
Yes.
5 votes in the affirmative, 1 in the negative. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The ordinance is hereby tabled. Madam Clerk, can you please read ordinance 2420 by title?
2420 is an ordinance amending Chapter 7, Section 16-1 of the Code of the Borough of Roselle Park, overnight parking restrictions for trucks over 4 tons.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion that the public hearing on ordinance number 2420, open.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The public hearing portion for ordinance 2420 is now open. Anyone wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, tell us what's on your mind with regard to ordinance 2420 and ordinance 2421.
Saul appears in 150 Berlin Street. I see the word unoccupied underlined a lot, and I presume that's the major change.
Yes, sir.
So is my understanding that if the vehicle is occupied, it does not violate this law?
The ordinance as it exists now, it doesn't stipulate that the vehicle is unoccupied, and you cannot restrict overnight parking to a commercial vehicle because there's federal laws in place where a person, a driver who drives a commercial vehicle must rest after so many hours for 8 hours. If you restrict your streets for preventing that person from stopping and resting, you're violating federal law. By us changing the ordinance to say an unoccupied vehicle cannot park, commercial vehicle cannot park in the street overnight. You're there now not breaking federal law. You need to sleep when you're in the truck. Then take your 8-hour sleep and go out.
But there are certain vehicles that are restricted from certain streets in our community, so in essence, this would apply to the major roadways in town.
And I guess because the other part is that it talks about, yes, no, let's pause.
You can't close it, it's an open meeting.
Give it 5 then. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry about that, Mr. President.
Thank you, by the way, for doing that. I guess I've read here, and I just want to, before, and I'm not making a statement either way, but I just want to make sure, so a motorized vehicle, which is, I guess, what's typically known as an RV, so that's not prohibited. Because it most likely will be occupied by someone sleeping there, right?
It's the size of the vehicle.
It's a commercial vehicle used for commercial purposes. Vehicle used for commercial purposes that is unoccupied would be in violation. If an RV does not have commercial plates,
Okay.
it's not.
So it would not be either affected by this.
You have to.
This is actually, I just want to note, this is bringing flashbacks to when I was sitting in the audience. Scooby-Doo.
It's the mystery machine.
When Councilwoman Jen Morning was on council, she called it the Scooby-Doo bus, sorry. So no, this does not pertain to the
So this would just
Scooby-Doo
be
bus.
like the Brooklyn said, commercial vehicles, and so they unoccupied.
Those Scooby-Doo plates aren't X-rated for commercial.
It has to be unoccupied. If it's a RV and it's unoccupied, they can't store it on the street.
Or if it's an RV and it doesn't have commercial plates.
Yes. It cannot be stored on the street overnight if it's unoccupied.
Right, if it doesn't have commercial plates.
Do RVs ever have commercial plates?
I don't know if there's something to do about it.
Not unless it's
Even if it has a great.
Maybe it's on a mystery. As a child.
It says, or motorized home, a vehicle equipped with sleeping, kitchen, or bathroom facilities to park such unoccupied vehicle. So that is in the commercial vehicle ordinance. Even though it doesn't have commercial plates.
So it would be covered, that's what I'm asking, and that was my confusion.
Right, it's
So-
included. It
so
has to be
someone-
unoccupied. If I have a
RV.
motorized home and I park it on the street and I'm not in it, I can't park it. I gotta park it in my driveway.
Wow. So, and again, I'm just thinking out loud. So if I have my RV and I visit a friend, well, someone visits me and they want to sleep in my house. Technically, someone has to sleep.
Put them in your driveway.
Oh, okay. Wow, I don't have that big of a driveway. But, okay, but, so it needs to be occupied for, and that's the reason for the huge underlining of everything.
It's common sense. You know, if you got a person 1 or 2 days, you know, if you got people that are going to be living there for months, the police department will take it. Okay, it's just common sense.
And then I do know of a commercial vehicle that, and it doesn't, I'm not saying anything against it for it. So they can't park in the street? Like someone works and they bring their car home, they need to put it in their driveway? Wow. Okay, thank you very much.
Anyone else wishing to speak on ordinance 2420 and ordinance 2420 only, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what time you want.
Mayor, members of council, I would like to make a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance number 2420.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Public hearing on ordinance 2420 is now closed. I'll entertain a motion on ordinance 2420.
Mayor, members of the council, I would like to make a motion that ordinance number 2420 be adopted on the second reading as advertised and prescribed by law.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yakovo.
Yes.
Councilman Hokinson.
Yes.
Councilman Cassius.
Yes.
Councilwoman Story.
Yes.
Councilman Kelly.
Yes.
And Councilman Almarasi.
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance 2420 is hereby.
Accepting the donation of various equipment for the Roselle Park Police Department for the Roselle Park PBA in the amount of $10,000. 2016-14, appointing James Smith to the rank of Deputy Chief for Lorraine Hose Company. 2017-14, appointing William Fernando to the rank of Captain for the Lorraine Hose Company. 218-14, appointing Scott Fuller to the rank of Lieutenant for the Lorraine Hose Company. 219-14, authorizing the treasurer to issue multiple checks in the total amount of $23,091.07 payable to multiple lien holders for redemption of 5 tax sale certificates and a premium check for $4,400 from the tax collector's premium account. 2020-14, approving the submission of a grant application to the New Jersey Department of Transportation for improvements to West Colfax Avenue Phase 2 project and authorizing the mayor and/or borough clerk to execute same.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. These matters are considered to be routine and non-controversial by council and will be approved by a single motion. There will be no separate discussion of any item unless a member of the governing body requests that it be removed from the regular agenda, in which case it will be placed in the regular order on the agenda as part of the general orders. Do I hear a motion? Do I hear a motion? Does anybody wish to remove any of the consent agenda items? Do I hear a motion to approve Resolution 213-14 through 220-14?
Yes, Mayor. Members of council, I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolutions on the consent agenda.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yakovo.
Yes.
Councilman Hokinson.
Yes.
Councilman Cassius.
Yes.
Councilwoman Story.
Yes.
Councilman Kelly.
Yes.
And Councilman El Marassi.
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Resolution 213-14, 214-14, 215, 216, 217, 218, 219, and 220-14 are hereby approved. Now, I put off my comments, but I do want to make some comments this evening. I come up here frequently and I say how much I love this town, and I really have grown up here. I appreciate what the community has done for me, and I hope that I've had an opportunity to give back to my community. One of the biggest concerns that I have is that I've always wanted to make sure that I leave the community a better place than the way I found it. And I strive to do that every day. Whether you like or dislike the things that I do, I, as everybody on council, works hard to make sure that this is a better place for every one of us to live. One of the biggest concerns that I have with the upcoming election is a repeat of what happened in the past general election. There were phone calls in the clerk's office, and I received phone calls and complaints from residents because they did not have access to the polling places. The best way to keep our town the lovely community that it is to allow people to have the right to vote, to exercise that privilege that they are given in this great country of ours. I would ask everybody to be mindful of that and to not impede the progress of anybody as they're going to the polling places this next upcoming election. I also ask every member of council to continue striving towards improvements in our community. Several private organizations, including some that have been involved in the political process this year, have adopted sections of Westfield Avenue, for example, and several members of the community have assisted in keeping Chestnut Street clean. We've had borough-wide cleanups by separate organizations in the community. I ask everybody to continue working forward to try to make this a great place. Remember, every piece of trash that you pick up and put in a trash can is something that beautifies our community. Every plant that you water on Chestnut Street is an opportunity to assist our community to be a little bit more beautiful. Every positive comment that you make about our community is something that assists our community. In reverse, every negative comment that's made about our community, every negative comment that's made without any basis in fact, is a detriment to our community. So I ask everybody to consider that when they start speaking about things in our community. The final comment that I'll make is that a resident this evening mentioned is freedom to speech. Nobody has ever abridged anybody's right to freedom of speech in this council chamber since I've been on the dais. I find it hard to fathom that somebody thinks that speaking over any member that's sitting up here on the dais is abridging their right to speech, freedom of speech, when they are treading on the ability of that member sitting up here on the dais to respond to the questions that are being asked. It's, again, a problem that has gone on for quite some time, and I think that if it doesn't happen in the next 2 months, I think probably in January, when somebody else is sitting in this seat, steps should be taken to make sure that that doesn't happen going forward. It's a two-way conversation. If we can't respect each other in that conversation, then it's not even worth having the conversation. So, in the interest of this borough that I think we all love, please continue to be positive, do the right things for our community. That concludes my comments for this evening. Are there any other matters for referral to committee or council this evening?
Mayor, I just want to make a note that Mr. Glove, myself, the chief of police will be meeting with the county representatives tomorrow to go over the radio issues, just to make sure we have that all buttoned up and connected to something else that was on the agenda today.
Does that have anything to do with TV 34?
Nothing to do with TV 34, but we will button up those issues, and if it does have anything to do with TV 34, I will report back.
Thank you. Any other items to be discussed this evening?
Mayor, with regards to ordinance 2420, the commercial ordinance, Madam Clerk, that's also be sent to the state of New Jersey for their...
Yes, sir. Their review and approval.
And also, Mayor, with regards to the action of governing bodies with regards to the curfew. So as of right now, everyone knows this, I'm sure, the existing or as is ordinance is still in place until further action by me.
So at some point, if the committee thinks it's important to abolish or abridge in some way that ordinance or amend it in some other way, I would ask the committee to place it on the agenda. You have my permission to place it on the agenda, please do so.
I will speak to the chief of police tomorrow at our meeting, and we'll make sure that it's on for the next, program procedure for the next meeting.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Any other items for this evening's meeting? Whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Roselle Park wish to discuss matters which are described in the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, Sunshine Law, JSA 10:4-12, and whereas the general nature of the subjects to be discussed in closed session are personnel matter involving a borough official, contract negotiations with regard to the clerical bargaining unit, with regard to DPW bargaining unit, and PBA SOA, and potential litigation with regard to D'Agostino, whereas the time when and the circumstances under which the items discussed in closed session will be disclosed to the public at a future time. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the borough of Roselle Park adjourn the open portion of the meeting and open a closed portion of the meeting to discuss the above items. Do I hear a motion to go to closed?
Make a motion, we go to closed.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, we're now in closed session. Thank you, everybody. Back in open session and closed session, we discussed the following items. Potential personnel matter with regard to a borough official.
I'll get you.
Negotiations with regard to the clerical bargaining unit, DPW bargaining unit, PBA, and SOA. And potential litigation with regard to D'Agostino. There were no decisions made, and therefore there's nothing further to discuss at this time. Do I hear?
Motion closed.
Are there any other items for discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.